Right now, someone else is writing the script of your life. Every time you hesitate, every time you bite your tongue to keep the peace, every time you let a stranger's opinion dictate your mood, you are handing over the keys to your mind. Stop letting people control you. This audiobook is not a suggestion, it is a blueprint for taking back your absolute power. We are going to build a mental fortress so thick, so impenetrable, that no insult, no rejection, and no manipulation will ever breach its walls. Listen closely, because your liberation starts right now. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Their Opinion. Let us start with a brutal, undeniable truth. Right now, as you listen to this, you are carrying around a heavy, invisible weight. That weight is the perceived opinion of everyone around you. You care what the barista thinks when you order your coffee. You care what your boss thinks when you speak up in a meeting. You care what a random stranger on the internet thinks about a photo you posted. Stop. Just stop. You are suffering because you believe a ghost story. And the absolute worst part about this ghost story? It is written by people who do not even know themselves. Understand this right now. What another person thinks of you is entirely fabricated in their own flawed mind. It has absolutely zero bearing on your actual reality. It has zero bearing on your worth. When someone judges you, they are not seeing you. They are seeing a distorted reflection of their own insecurities. They are projecting their own failures, their own fears, and their own limited worldview onto you. You have a choice. You can keep bowing down to these phantoms, or you can wake up and reclaim your reality. Their thoughts are their problem. My mind is my fortress. Say it, memorize it, burn it into your brain. Their thoughts are their problem. My mind is my fortress. Most people spend their entire lives trying to be palatable. They try to be digestible for the masses. They shrink, they quiet their voice, they dilute their personality so nobody gets offended. But look at where that gets them. They end up anxious, they end up depressed, they end up deeply resentful because they are living a lie just to keep the peace. You don't need their permission to exist. You don't need their permission to succeed. You don't need their permission to be exactly who you are unapologetically. It's not about being liked, it's about self-respect. That's the key. Let's look at the real world. Let's look at the stark, undeniable contrast between the top 1% of minds and the bottom 99. Take a high-level leader, a visionary, a dominant CEO, or an elite athlete. Do you think they sit awake at night agonizing over a mean tweet? Do you think they halt their massive, sweeping life goals because someone in the bleachers booed them? Absolutely not. They make ruthless, effective decisions. They execute their plans with cold precision. They do not care about the noise. They command reality. Now, look at the average worker. The person stuck in the exact same dead-end loop for decades, wondering why they never get ahead. What happens to them? They walk into the break room, they see two coworkers whispering, and they freeze. They are instantly paralyzed. They spend the next 4 hours at their desks sweating, overthinking, and wondering, were they talking about me? Did I do something wrong? Are they laughing at my clothes? The worker reacts to illusions. The leader commands reality. Which one are you?
If you are reacting to the break room whispers, you are failing the ultimate test of life. You are handing over the keys to your emotional state to someone who probably makes less money than you, has worse relationships than you, and doesn't even have their own life together. Why do you value their critique? You have a choice. You can either be the master of your fate or a victim of their gossip. You don't need their permission to hold your head high. Let's dive deeper into the mechanics of this ghost story. Why do we care so much? Evolution. Back in the primitive tribal days, if the tribe did not like you, you were cast out into the wilderness to starve. Your brain is hardwired to seek tribal approval as a primal survival mechanism. But look around you. You are not in the wilderness anymore. You are in the modern world. If someone at the office doesn't like your shoes or your project or your tone of voice, you are not going to die. But your primitive brain tricks you into feeling a life or death panic.
You must override this ancient, obsolete programming. You must look at the judgment and logically, ruthlessly dismantle it. Here is your behavioral instruction for today. Here is exactly what you must stop doing. Stop asking for feedback from people who have not built anything. Stop scanning a room to see if people are smiling at you. Stop overanalyzing text messages for hidden tones of disapproval. It is a massive waste of your mental bandwidth. You have a massive life to live. You have goals to crush. You cannot do that if you are constantly looking over your shoulder to see if the crowd is cheering. You must adopt a mindset of radical indifference. If they love you, fine. If they hate you, fine. It does not change your mission. It does not change your routine. It does not change your discipline. Tell yourself this person's opinion cannot pay my bills. This person's opinion cannot build my legacy. This person's opinion cannot do the push-ups for me. So why on earth are you giving their opinion prime real estate in your head? Evict them. Kick them out. You have a choice. Will you be the landlord of your own mind, or will you let squatters live there rent-free? That's the key. Total, unapologetic ownership of your mental space. It's not about being blind to feedback. It's about being highly selective of your sources. Take advice from mentors. Take advice from the men and women actually fighting in the arena. Ignore the noise from the cheap seats. Every single time you feel that familiar spike of anxiety because someone looked at you sideways or left a passive-aggressive comment, I want you to visualize a massive, solid stone wall rising up around your brain. A fortress. The judgment hits the wall and shatters into dust. You remain untouched, unbothered, unbroken. Their thoughts are their problem. My mind is my fortress. This is the absolute foundation of the Stoic mind. You cannot control what they say. You can only control what you internalize. And starting today, you internalize nothing but your own strength. Stop volunteering for weakness. Stop actively choosing to give their fleeting thoughts weight. Treat their opinions like the wind. You can feel it blow past you, but you do not let it knock you down. You certainly do not let it change your direction. Their thoughts are their problem. My mind is my fortress. You have now seen the illusion for exactly what it is. You have recognized the ghost story. You have taken the first brutal step in mastering your reality by evicting the opinions of the weak. You have mastered the illusion of their opinion. Now, let's talk about the borders of your new kingdom. Let's talk about how you train the world to treat you.
Chapter 2. Stop negotiating your boundaries. Let's talk about the exact moment you lose your power. It happens every single day. It happens quietly. It happens when you say yes, when your entire body, mind, and soul are screaming no. You do it to be nice. You do it to keep the peace. You do it because you are terrified of conflict. Stop. Every time you negotiate your own limits to make someone else comfortable, you are committing treason against yourself. You are teaching the world that you are easily conquered. Understand this immediately. Boundaries are not polite requests. They are not gentle suggestions. They are absolute, unbreakable laws that govern how you allow the world to interact with your energy, your time, and your mind. When a nation's border is crossed, there is a response. When your border is crossed, you smile, apologize, and back up. You retreat. You give up ground. And you wonder why you feel exhausted, resentful, and completely drained at the end of every week. You have a choice. You can continue to be a doormat for everyone else's demands, or you can stand up and draw a line in the concrete. That's the key. Let us look at the classic example, the demanding boss. It is Friday night. It is 8 p.m. You are finally sitting down with your family or trying to decompress, and your phone buzzes. It is an email from your boss demanding an answer to a minor issue that can absolutely wait until Monday. What do? The weak mind panics. The weak mind thinks, if I don't answer, they will think I am lazy. So you open the email, you reply. You just negotiated your boundary. You just told your boss that your personal time is worthless. You just gave them the green light to interrupt your peace forever. Now, let us look at the toxic family member, the mother, the father, the sibling who constantly pushes their nose into your personal life. They make passive-aggressive comments about your career, your weight, or your relationship. You sit there at the dinner table, swallowing your anger, forcing a polite smile. You let them cross the line because they are family. You let them disrespect you because you want to avoid a scene. Listen to me very carefully. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. I will say it again. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. If you tell your boss, please don't email me on weekends, but you still reply when they do, you do not have a boundary. You have a preference. If you tell your toxic relative, please don't speak to me like that, but you continue to sit there and listen to their insults, you do not have a boundary. You are simply complaining. You must enforce the law. Enforcing a hard, unapologetic no instantly shifts the power dynamic. It shocks the system. People who are used to walking all over you will be stunned when they suddenly hit a brick wall. And that is exactly what you must become, a brick wall. It's not about being accommodating, it's about strict discipline. It is the discipline to protect your peace at all costs.
How do you do this in the real world? Here is your behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must start doing today. First, you define the line. You decide exactly what you will accept and what you will not accept. Second, you communicate the line with zero emotion. You do not get angry, you do not yell, you state the fact. Third, and most importantly, you execute the consequence when the line is crossed. If the boss emails on the weekend, the consequence is silence. You do not reply until 9 a.m. on Monday. When they ask why, you look them dead in the eye and say, I am offline on weekends. Period. No apologies. No long explanations about how busy you were. You don't need their permission to protect your time. If the toxic family member starts their usual disrespect, you state the boundary. Do not speak to me about that. When they inevitably push it, you execute the consequence. You stand up, you take your coat, you leave the room, you leave the house, you remove your presence. You starve them of your access. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. People will test you. They will call you selfish. They will say you have changed. They will try to guilt trip you into returning to the weak, compliant version of yourself that served their needs. Let them. Let them be mad. Let them be uncomfortable. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. You are not on this earth to manage the emotions of other adults. You have a choice. Will you suffer the pain of enforcing your boundaries, or will you suffer the endless, grinding pain of being used? Choose the pain of discipline. Choose the pain of self-respect. That's the key. Stop softening your language. Stop using words like maybe, I'll try, or I'm sorry, but. Erase I'm sorry from your vocabulary when you are defending your territory. You have nothing to apologize for. No is a complete sentence. I am not available is a complete sentence. I will not tolerate this is a complete sentence. Deliver these phrases with the cold, unshakable calm of a Stoic. Do not justify, do not argue. State the law and enforce the penalty. When you start doing this, something magical happens. The predators back off. The manipulators realize you are no longer an easy target. The people who genuinely respect you will actually respect you more. You will filter out the parasites and attract people who value your strength. You will build a moat around your mental fortress. It's not about being mean, it's about unapologetic self-preservation. It is about understanding that your energy is finite. Every drop of energy you give to a boundary crosser is a drop of energy stolen from your own goals, your own health, and your own true loved ones. You don't need their permission to close the door. You don't need their permission to hang up the phone. You don't need their permission to walk away. You are a sovereign individual. Act like it. Command your space.
Demand respect through your actions, not your complaints. If they step over the line, you drop the hammer. It is that simple. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. Turn your suggestions back into absolute laws. You have now built the walls. You have stopped negotiating your peace for their comfort. You have learned how to enforce the borders of your mind. But even with strong walls, you can still be poisoned from the inside if you constantly look outward for your worth. You enforced your space. Now, let's talk about the invisible debt you keep taking on.
Chapter 3. The Silent Cost of Seeking Validation. Let us talk about the invisible chains you are wearing right now. You have built the walls of your mind. You have stopped negotiating your boundaries. You have secured the perimeter. But inside your fortress, you are still begging for scraps. You are still looking out the window, hoping the crowd is cheering for you. Every single time you seek a pat on the back, you are making a fatal mistake. You are implicitly telling the world that you cannot survive without their permission to exist. You are asking for a handout. You are saying, please tell me I am good enough. Tell me I am smart. Tell me I am attractive. Stop. This is the silent cost of seeking validation. It is a disease. It hollows you out from the inside. Understand this fundamental law of human dynamics. Validation from others is a debt. Self-approval is true wealth. I want you to repeat that until it becomes your absolute reality. Validation from others is a debt. Self-approval is true wealth. When you need someone else to tell you that you did a good job, you hand them the strings to your emotions. You willingly become a puppet. If they praise you, you feel a temporary, intoxicating high. If they ignore you, you crash into depression. If they criticize you, you shatter completely. Why on earth are you giving other people the remote control to your nervous system? You are making yourself a hostage to anyone willing to withhold their praise. You have a choice. You can live as a beggar, constantly holding out your cup for a compliment, or you can live as a sovereign king or queen of your own reality. That's the key. You must stop outsourcing your self-esteem to deeply flawed, distracted people. Let us look at the modern world. Let us look at the absolute sickness of social media metrics. Millions of people wake up every day and curate their entire lives for an audience of strangers. They filter every photo. They script every caption. They obsess over the lighting. Why? To harvest a few dozen digital hearts. They post a picture, and then they stare at the glowing screen. They wait. They refresh the page. They hope. They feel their heart rate spike. This is an invisible, suffocating prison of anxiety. They are performing for an arena full of ghosts. And if the post flops, their entire day is ruined. Their self-esteem plummets to zero. Why? Because they took out a loan on their self-worth, and now they are bankrupt. Validation from others is a debt. Self-approval is true wealth. Now look at the corporate world. Look at office politics. Watch the employee who stays late, not because they want to master their craft, but simply so the boss sees their car in the parking lot. Watch the employee who constantly fishes for compliments, asking, "How did I do? Was that presentation okay? Did you like my idea?" They are desperate for a gold star. They want to be liked. Let me tell you the brutal truth about the desire to be liked. It is a massive, glaring symptom of weakness. The moment your primary goal is to be liked, you become a chameleon. You change your colors to match whatever room you walk into. You agree with opinions you secretly despise. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You lose your identity. You lose your edge. You become completely invisible. It's not about seeking praise. It's about cultivating self-reliance. You don't need their permission to know your own value. When you seek validation, you put yourself in debt. Think about how a bank loan works. When you owe the bank money,
The bank owns a piece of you. When you owe someone for your self-esteem, they own a piece of you. You owe them compliance. You owe them favors. You bite your tongue because you are terrified they will cut off your supply of praise. You become their slave. So how do you break the chains? Here is your behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must stop doing immediately. Stop taking the temperature of the room before you speak your mind. Stop posting the highlights of your life solely for public consumption. Stop checking your phone every 5 minutes to see who validated your existence. Here is what you will do instead. Tomorrow, I want you to do a job flawlessly. I want you to execute a task perfectly to the absolute peak of your ability. And then I want you to tell absolutely no one. Keep it entirely to yourself. Feel the immense, quiet, unbreakable power of knowing you crushed it without needing a single person to clap for you. That is the feeling of true sovereignty. You don't need their permission to be proud of your work. You don't need their permission to feel competent. You don't need their permission to feel powerful. You have a choice. Will you continue to take out emotional loans, or will you build your own private vault of confidence? That's the key. Self-approval is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud. Arrogance is desperate. Self-approval is the quiet, untouchable confidence of a person who has already done the brutal work in the dark. When you know your own worth, you stop putting yourself on the clearance rack for everyone else's approval. Every single time you catch yourself waiting for a compliment, snap out of it. Remind yourself of the law. Validation from others is a debt. Self-approval is true wealth. When someone does praise you, say thank you and immediately move on. Do not let it inflate your ego. Because if you let their praise inflate you, you are giving their criticism the exact same power to deflate you. You must remain neutral. You must remain stoic. Your internal compass is the only metric that matters. Ask yourself at the end of the day, did you execute? Did you show discipline? Did you act with integrity? Did you honor your own code? If the answer is yes, you are rich. You have everything you need. If the answer is no, no amount of outside applause will save you from the emptiness inside. It's not about being antisocial. It's about emotional independence. Cut the strings. Step off the stage. Stop performing. Your life is not a dress rehearsal for the amusement of others. It is yours. Own it completely. Validation from others is a debt. Self-approval is true wealth. You have stopped seeking their applause. You have learned to fund your own self-worth. You are no longer performing. But what happens when the world pushes back? What happens when they insult you, provoke you, or try to drag you down into their chaos? You have stopped needing their praise, but you must also stop feeding their drama. You conquered the need for validation. Now, let's talk about the ultimate weapon against emotional manipulation.
Chapter 4. Master the Art of the Pause. Let us talk about the puppet strings attached to your limbs. You think you are free. You walk through the world believing you are in control of your own life. But let me ask you a very simple, brutal question. If a stranger on the internet types a few derogatory words about you and your heart rate instantly spikes, are you truly free? If a coworker sends a passive-aggressive email and you spend the next 3 hours pacing around your living room in a blind rage, who is actually in charge? You are not in charge. You are a biological puppet. Emotional reactivity is the absolute ultimate form of slavery. You are giving away the launch codes to your nervous system. You are allowing anyone with a cheap insult to completely hijack your biology. Stop letting them press your buttons. Understand this fundamental law of human behavior. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies my freedom. I want you to repeat that phrase every single time your blood pressure rises. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies my freedom. The stimulus is the insult. The stimulus is the disrespect. The stimulus is the unexpected chaos. The response is your reaction. For the vast majority of weak, undisciplined people, there is zero space between those two things. Someone yells at them, they yell back. Someone cuts them off in traffic, they lay on the horn. They are pure, predictable reaction. They are no different than a dog barking at a fence. You have a choice. You can continue to bark at every passing car, or you can step back, observe the noise, and choose not to engage. That's the key. Let us look at a real-world example. Picture a heated argument. You know the exact kind. The other person is losing their mind. They are screaming, they are red in the face, the veins are popping out of their neck. They are throwing every past mistake in your face, desperate to hit a nerve. What do they actually want in that moment? They want your reaction. They want you to lose control. They want you to yell back because your anger validates their anger. Your loss of control justifies their madness. Now picture the Stoic in that exact same room. The Stoic does not flinch. The Stoic does not raise their voice. As the screamer loses their mind, the Stoic simply stops. The Stoic takes a slow, deep, deliberate breath. The Stoic holds deadpan, unblinking eye contact. They let the silence stretch. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The silence becomes deafening. The screamer's words hang in the empty air, sounding utterly ridiculous. And then the Stoic responds with devastating, unaffected calm. A simple, quiet, "Are you finished?" In that single moment, the power dynamic is permanently destroyed. The screamer is neutralized. They threw their heaviest emotional punch, and it hit a concrete wall. The Stoic won without lifting a single finger. It's not about being passive, it's about tactical dominance. When you react emotionally, you are feeding your enemy exactly what they crave. You are handing them your power on a silver platter. You must master the art of the pause. The pause is your shield. The pause is your weapon. The pause is the impenetrable moat around your mental fortress. Here's your behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must stop doing today. Stop typing furious replies on your keyboard the second you read an irritating message. Take your hands off the keys. Stop snapping back the moment someone disrespects you. Bite your tongue. Literally bite the inside of your cheek if you have to. Stop jumping into the mud to wrestle with pigs. You must train yourself to expand the space. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies my freedom. When the insult hits, you freeze. You inhale deeply through your nose. You force your heart rate to slow down. You look at the person not as a threat, but as an interesting psychological specimen. You observe their lack of control. You observe their desperate need to affect you, and you deny them that satisfaction. You starve them of your reaction. You don't need their permission to disengage. You don't need their permission to walk away. You don't need their permission to look at them with absolute, terrifying silence. Silence is an incredibly violent weapon when used correctly against someone who wants a screaming match. It shows them that their chaos has absolutely no jurisdiction in your reality. It shows them that you are the sovereign ruler of your own emotional state. You have a choice. Will you be easily provoked, or will you be impossibly calm? That's the key. Every single time you pause, you are building a new neural pathway in your brain. You are upgrading your mental hardware. You are turning yourself from a fragile, reactive animal into a highly disciplined, unbreakable machine. It's not about ignoring disrespect. It's about controlling the terms of the engagement. If you need to address the disrespect, you do it on your timeline. You do it with a cold, rational mind. You never do it while flooded with adrenaline. Adrenaline makes you stupid. Adrenaline makes you say things you regret. The pause gives your rational brain time to come back online
and dictate the absolute best course of action. Burn this into your soul. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies my freedom. You own that space. Nobody else is allowed inside it. If you master the pause, you become completely immune to the emotional manipulation of the outside world. You strip your enemies of the reaction they desperately crave. You leave them swinging wildly at the empty air while you stand untouched. You have conquered your impulses. You have learned how to stretch time and find your freedom in the silence. You have stopped giving away your emotional reactions for free. But there are people out there who will not stop testing you. There are people who feed on drama like parasites. You know how to pause, but now you must learn how to completely eradicate their influence from your life.
Chapter 5. Starve the manipulators. Let us talk about the predators walking among us. They do not have fangs. They do not hide in the shadows. They are sitting in your office. They are living in your neighborhood. Sometimes they are sitting at your own dinner table. I am talking about manipulators. I am talking about narcissists, drama addicts, and emotional vampires. These people are fundamentally broken, and they survive by feeding off your life force. You must understand their biology. Manipulators do not want a peaceful resolution. They do not want logic. They do not want closure. They want your emotional exhaust. They want your anger, your fear, your frustration, and your guilt. When you cry, they feel powerful. When you scream, they feel relevant. When you twist yourself into knots trying to explain your side of the story, they are feeding on your energy. You have a choice. You can continue to be a free meal for these emotional vampires, or you can shut down the kitchen forever. That's the key. Do not feed the parasites. Starve them with silence. Burn this rule into your mind. Do not feed the parasites. Starve them with silence. If you cut off the supply of emotional reactions, a manipulator cannot survive in your orbit. They are like a fire. A fire needs oxygen to burn. Your emotional reaction is the oxygen. If you remove the oxygen, the fire suffocates. It dies out. The manipulator will quickly realize they cannot get a hit of their drug from you, and they will move on to an easier target. You must become completely unpalatable to toxic people. How do you do this? How do you become completely unpalatable? You use a psychological warfare tactic known as the gray rock method. I want you to picture a gray rock sitting on the side of a dirt road. It is boring. It is unremarkable. It does not move. It does not speak. If you kick it, it just sits there. If you scream at it, it just sits there. It gives you absolutely nothing back. This is exactly what you must become when a manipulator tries to engage you. You must become a gray rock. Let us break this down in real time. Imagine the toxic coworker who loves to stir up drama. They walk up to your desk and drop a massive manufactured crisis in your lap. They say something passive-aggressive to bait you. The old you would get defensive. The old you would start explaining, arguing, and trying to prove them wrong. You would get flustered. You would give them exactly what they want. Now look at the new you, the stoic mind in action. You apply the gray rock method. The manipulator drops their bait. You do not flinch. You do not make sharp eye contact. You keep your face completely blank. You let a long pause happen. Then you look at them with dead, empty eyes, and you give a one-word monotone response. Okay. Understood. They will try again. They will poke harder. They will say something insulting. You do not defend yourself. You do not bite back. You give a slight shrug. You say, if you say so. You turn your attention back to your computer screen. Do not feed the parasites. Starve them with silence. You are giving them zero emotional data to work with. You are offering a flat, smooth, unclimbable surface. A manipulator trying to provoke a gray rock feels foolish, they feel awkward, they feel like they're talking to a brick wall. And very quickly, they will get bored. They will take their circus somewhere else. Here is your behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must stop doing today. Stop trying to reason with unreasonable people. Stop giving them long, emotionally charged explanations. Stop thinking that if you just find the perfect words, they will suddenly understand you and apologize. They will not. They do not care about the truth. They care about the control. It's not about being polite. It's about tactical withdrawal. You don't need their permission to be utterly unresponsive. You don't need their permission to be the most boring person in the room when they are desperately looking for a fight. You don't need their permission to let their insults drop to the floor, completely unacknowledged. You have a choice. Will you entertain their circus, or will you close the tent? That's the key. When you refuse to play the game, you win the game. Do not feed the parasites. Starve them with silence. Let me be very clear about how this feels in the beginning. At first, it is going to feel entirely unnatural. Your ego is going to scream at you to fight back. Your ego wants to defend your honor. Your ego wants to tell them exactly how wrong they are and put them in their place. You must suppress your ego. You must look at the bigger picture. Winning an argument with a narcissist is like winning a wrestling match with a pig in the mud. You both get dirty, but the pig likes it. You must rise above the mud. You must deny them the privilege of your passion. Your passion, your anger, your tears, these are highly valuable resources. They belong to you. They belong to your family. They belong to your true mission in life. They do not belong to the broken people trying to drag you down into their misery. Do not feed the parasites. Starve them with silence. When you master the gray rock method, you unlock a superpower. You can walk through a room full of toxic people and remain completely untouched. You become invisible to their radar. They cannot hook you because there is absolutely nothing to grab onto. You are smooth, you are solid, you are utterly unbothered. Start practicing this immediately. The next time someone tries to drag you into their manufactured chaos, become the rock. Use short answers, keep a monotone voice, display zero facial expressions, offer zero defense. Watch how quickly they deflate. Watch how quickly they retreat. It is mathematical. It is absolute. You have stopped feeding the fire. You have starved out the manipulators. You have learned how to become incredibly boring to toxic people. But what happens when the poison isn't coming from their words, but from how you internally interpret their actions? You stopped giving them your reactions, but you still need to stop taking their behavior personally. You starved the manipulators. Now let's talk about the final boss of your internal world. Let's sever the tie between your worth and their chaos.
Chapter 6. Divorce your ego from their actions. Let us talk about the biggest lie your brain tells you every single day. The lie is that you are the center of the universe. Your ego constantly convinces you that every look, every word, and every action from another human being is a direct commentary on your worth. When someone is rude to you at the store, your ego says, "They are disrespecting me." When someone ignores your text message, your ego says, "They do not value me." When a relationship fails, your ego says, "I am not good enough." Stop. You are falling into the ultimate trap. You are taking things personally, and by doing so, you are handing over your absolute power to fundamentally broken people. Understand this undeniable foundational truth. The way people treat you is a direct reflection of their own internal chaos. It is not a measurement of your value. It is not a measurement of your character. It is a live broadcast of their own mental state. If someone is bitter, they will project bitterness. If someone is deeply insecure, they will project insecurity. If someone is living in fear, they will project hostility. When you take their behavior personally, you are actively choosing to absorb their poison. You are making their sickness your identity. You have a choice. You can be an emotional sponge, soaking up every ounce of toxicity around you. Or you can be a mirror, reflecting their chaos right back at them without absorbing a single drop. That's the key. Burn this phrase into your mind. Repeat it until it becomes your impenetrable armor. It is never about you, it is always about them. I will say it again. It is never about you, it is always about them. Let us look at the perfect everyday example. You are driving down the highway. You are minding your own business, focused on your own goals. Suddenly, a reckless driver swerves violently into your lane. They cut you off. They almost cause a massive, life-altering accident. They speed away without a wave, without an apology, without even a glance in their rearview mirror. What does the weak, undisciplined mind do in this moment? The weak mind grips the steering wheel until their knuckles turn white. The weak mind yells, "How dare they do this to me? They disrespected me." The weak mind lets a total stranger hijack their nervous system. You spend the next hour fuming, vibrating with rage, telling everyone at the office about the jerk who tried to kill you. You assume they did it to you. Now look at the Stoic mind. The Stoic watches the reckless driver speed away and feels absolutely nothing but calm observation. Why? Because the Stoic has completely divorced their ego from the event. The Stoic recognizes that the driver is just a chaotic element of nature. They are a tornado. They are a thunderstorm. Does a thunderstorm rain on you because it specifically hates you? No. It rains because it is the nature of a storm to rain. That reckless driver is late. That driver is deeply angry at their spouse. That driver is wildly irresponsible and entirely consumed by their own messy, chaotic life. They did not even see you. You were just an inanimate object in their way. Their reckless action was a symptom of their broken life. It had absolutely nothing to do with you. It is never about you. It is always about them. When you truly understand this concept, you become completely untouchable. Think about the miserable coworker who always has a sarcastic, biting comment. The old you would agonize over it. The old you would lie awake at night wondering what you did wrong to deserve their disdain. The new you looks at them and sees a person drowning in their own misery. You see someone who is so deeply unhappy with their own trajectory that they have to lash out at the people around them just to feel a fleeting shred of power. Why on earth would you ever let a person like that dictate your self-worth? You don't need their permission to feel good about yourself. You don't need their permission to brush off their sarcasm like dirt off your shoulder. You don't need their permission to succeed right in front of their bitter faces. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about the discipline of emotional detachment. Here is your real-world behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must stop doing immediately. Stop writing scripts for other people in your head. Stop assigning malicious intent to every single interaction. When someone cuts you off, do not assume they hate you. Assume they are reckless. When your boss is short with you, do not assume you are getting fired. Assume they are under massive, crushing pressure from their own superiors. You must ruthlessly sever the tie between their bad behavior and your internal value. Let us go deeper into the ego. The ego is incredibly fragile. The ego demands to be recognized. The ego screams, "Look at me, respect me, validate me." When the world inevitably fails to do that, the ego throws a violent tantrum. You must put your ego on a tight leash. When someone rejects you, your ego says, "I am unlovable." The Stoic mind steps in and corrects the ego immediately. The Stoic mind says, "No, that person simply has different preferences, or they are incapable of seeing my value, or they are currently emotionally unavailable." Notice the massive shift in power. The ego makes it intensely personal and painful. The Stoic makes it objective and harmless. Imagine walking through the halls of a mental hospital. If a severely ill patient runs up to you, screams in your face, and calls you a terrible name, do you go home and cry? Do you question your entire existence?
Do you wonder if you truly are that terrible name? Of course not. You understand that the person is unwell. You understand that their aggressive words are simply symptoms of their condition, not factual statements about your character. Listen to me very carefully right now. Much of the world is walking around completely unwell. They are infected with chronic stress, unresolved trauma, deep bitterness, and blinding jealousy. When they lash out at you, when they insult you, when they betray you, they are simply showing you their symptoms. Do not take their symptoms personally. It's not about being numb. It's about the discipline of perspective. You have a choice. You can live in a state of constant, exhausting defense, taking every stray bullet to the heart, or you can step off the battlefield entirely. That's the key. When you stop taking things personally, you stop being a victim. You transform into an observer. An observer cannot be insulted. An observer cannot be manipulated. An observer simply watches the chaotic world spin and remains perfectly, unshakably still. Every single time you feel that familiar sting of a perceived insult, I want you to pause. Take a deep breath, look at the person projecting their chaos onto you, and internally repeat the absolute law of the Stoic mind. It is never about you. It is always about them. You have successfully divorced your ego from their actions. You have realized that the chaos of other people is their heavy burden to carry, not yours. You have stopped taking their sickness personally. You are standing strong in your fortress. But what happens when you still feel the burning, desperate urge to prove them wrong? What happens when you desperately want to explain your side of the story to a brick wall? You stopped taking it personally, but now you must stop pleading your case to a jury that does not care.
Chapter 7. Kill the need to be understood. Let us talk about the courtroom in your mind. Every single day, you put yourself on trial. You stand in front of a jury of your peers, your family, your coworkers, and sometimes complete strangers. You present your case, you explain your motives, you justify your decisions. You desperately want them to nod their heads and say, "We understand you, we validate your choices." Stop. You are making a massive, exhausting mistake. You are presenting evidence to a jury that has already decided you are guilty. Explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you is a profound waste of your limited life energy. You must kill the need to be understood. It is a parasite. It drains your time, your focus, and your ultimate self-respect. When you constantly explain yourself, you are begging for validation. You are asking them to approve of your reality. You do not need their approval. You do not need their comprehension. My actions speak for me. I owe you no explanations. Say this to yourself right now. Burn it into your daily operating system. My actions speak for me. I owe you no explanations. Let us look at the ultimate modern trap, the endless late-night text message argument. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It is 1 a.m. You are lying in bed, completely exhausted. The glowing screen of your phone is blinding you in the dark. You are locked in a digital war with someone who is completely committed to making you the villain. They send a sarcastic, biting remark. Your heart rate spikes. You sit up in bed. You start typing. You type a massive, perfectly articulated paragraph. You delete it. You rewrite it. You want to make them see your side. You want to force them to understand your heart and your intentions. Listen to me very carefully. They do not care about your side. They do not care about your heart. They are not reading your long emotional paragraphs to understand you. They are reading them to find ammunition for their next attack. You are literally handing them bullets. You have a choice. You can stay up until 3 a.m., exhausting your soul in a battle you cannot possibly win, or you can shut off the screen and go to sleep. That's the key. The weak mind craves the last word. The weak mind actually believes that if they just find the perfect combination of vocabulary, the other person will suddenly awaken, apologize, and see the light. That is an absolute illusion. The Stoic mind knows the truth.
The Stoic mind knows that putting down the phone and walking away without needing the last word is the ultimate untouchable victory. Silence is the heaviest blow you can deliver to someone seeking an argument. You don't need their permission to end the conversation. You don't need their permission to leave them unread. You don't need their permission to completely protect your peace. When you walk away, you take all of your power with you. You leave them shouting into an empty void.
It's not about being stubborn. It's about the discipline of self-containment. It is about recognizing that your energy is your most valuable asset on this planet. Every single minute you spend explaining your life choices to a skeptic is a minute stolen from building your empire. Do you think a lion explains to a hyena why it hunts? Do you think a mountain explains to the wind why it stands tall? Absolutely not. They simply exist. They operate in their own unapologetic truth. My actions speak for me. I owe you no explanations. Here is your behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must stop doing right now to take back your life. Stop writing essays in text messages. Stop justifying your boundaries. If you tell someone no and they ask why, you do not owe them a 10-minute PowerPoint presentation on your schedule, your priorities, and your mental health. No is a complete sentence. If you make a massive career change and your fearful relatives question it, do not defend your ambition to people who have completely given up on theirs. Smile, nod, and get back to work. Let your success be the absolute only noise you make. The desperate desire to be understood is rooted deeply in fear. It is the fear of being perceived as the bad guy. It is the fear of being judged harshly. But you have already learned that their judgment is an illusion. You have already learned that their opinion holds no actual weight. So why are you still defending yourself against a ghost? You must accept a brutal reality. In the story of someone else's life, you might be the villain. You might be the arrogant one. You might be the cold one. Let them think it. Let them write whatever fictional story they want in their own messy, chaotic minds. It does not change your reality one bit. You have a choice. You can spend your life as a frantic defense attorney for your own existence, or you can live as the undisputed judge, jury, and executioner of your own reality. That's the key. Stop lowering your vibration to meet their deliberate misunderstanding. Rise above it. Walk away from the podium. Rest your case permanently. When you stop explaining yourself, people will be confused. They will try to bait you back into the courtroom. They will say things like, "You never talk to me anymore," or "You think you're better than everyone else now." Do not take the bait. Do not explain that you are just protecting your peace. Simply look at them, hold your frame, and say nothing. Let the suffocating silence do the heavy lifting. My actions speak for me. I owe you no explanations. Your life is a masterpiece in progress. You do not need to pause your painting to explain your brushstrokes to a blind person. Keep painting, keep building, keep moving forward with ruthless, silent momentum. The right people, the people who actually belong in your inner circle, will understand you without you having to say a single word. The people who demand endless, exhausting explanations do not belong in your circle. They belong completely outside the thick walls of your fortress. Keep the gates closed. Keep your mouth shut. Execute your goals. Let your results speak so incredibly loudly that your words become entirely unnecessary. My actions speak for me. I owe you no explanations. You have put down the phone. You have stepped out of the courtroom. You have killed the desperate need to be understood by people who are deeply committed to misunderstanding you. You are silent, strong, and completely unbothered by their false narratives. But embracing this silence brings a new, inevitable challenge. When you stop explaining yourself, people will inevitably judge you. They might even turn against you. You stopped needing their understanding. Now let's talk about weaponizing their disapproval. Chapter 8. Embrace the power of being disliked. Let us talk about the ultimate disease of the modern age, the desperate, pathetic need to be liked by absolutely everyone. Look around you. Look at the chameleons walking through life. They walk into a room and instantly scan it to see who they need to become. They bend, they fold, they dilute their entire personality just to fit into spaces they do not even belong in. If everybody likes you, it means you stand for absolutely nothing. You are a blank canvas for other people's expectations. Stop being a blank canvas. Stop erasing your own edges just so other people will not get scratched. I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. Say it out loud. Speak it directly into your reality. I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. When you try to be universally loved, you are committing treason against your own soul. You are wearing a heavy, suffocating mask, and wearing a mask is exhausting. It takes a massive, unsustainable amount of energy to constantly monitor how you are being perceived. You agree with opinions you secretly despise. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You shrink your ambitions so that small-minded people can feel big. You are trading your absolute authenticity for a cheap, fragile popularity. It is a terrible trade. You lose yourself in the transaction. You have a choice. You can live as a watered-down, deeply resentful version of yourself to keep the masses comfortable, or you can stand incredibly tall in your absolute truth and let the weak fall away. That's the key. Let us look at the titans of history. Let us look at the true Stoics who built the foundation of the sovereign mind. Look at Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome. He held absolute, unquestioned power over the known world. Do you think he made decisions based on what the gossiping mobs in the Colosseum thought of him? Do you think he tossed and turned at night because a disgruntled senator didn't like his tone of voice? Absolutely not. He made deeply unpopular decisions. He chose his duty over his comfort. He chose the objective truth over fleeting popularity. His allegiance was solely to his own internal compass. Real power is not having a million people cheer your name. Real power is sleeping soundly, deeply, and peacefully in your bed while the world gossips about you outside your window. It's not about being needlessly aggressive. It's about the discipline of authenticity. You don't need their permission to be exactly who you are. You don't need their permission to hold an unpopular opinion. You don't need their permission to completely walk away from the crowd. You must accept a harsh, liberating reality right now. In order to live a truly authentic life, you must be entirely comfortable being the villain in someone else's story. Let them cast you as the bad guy. Let them complain to their friends that you are arrogant. Let them say you are cold, distant, and unfeeling. Let them say you have changed. Of course you have changed. You are no longer their compliant puppet. The moment you stop serving their selfish needs, they will call you selfish. Let them. Let them write whatever fiction they need to write to make themselves feel better. I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not.
Here is your behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must stop doing today. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop softening your voice to make other people feel secure. Stop trying to control the narrative that other people write about you. You cannot control their minds. Let them misunderstand you. Let them judge you. It is none of your business. Your business is your own integrity. Your business is your own relentless mission. Here is what you must start doing. Start embracing the friction. When you speak your truth and the room goes quiet, do not backpedal. Hold the silence. Let the discomfort hang in the air. When you say no to a social obligation because you need to work on your goals and they try to guilt trip you, hold your ground. Do not offer a fake excuse. Do not apologize for your ambition. Think about the sheer, undeniable freedom that comes with being disliked by the right people. When toxic people dislike you,
It is a badge of honor. When manipulators dislike you, it means your boundaries are flawlessly working. When small-minded people gossip about you, it means you have completely outgrown their tiny, suffocating world. Their hatred is not a punishment. Their hatred is absolute confirmation that you are finally moving in the right direction. You have a choice. Will you conform to the lowest common denominator, or will you rise and accept the friction of greatness? That's the key. Friction is required for elevation. An airplane cannot take off with the wind. It must fly directly into the resistance. You must fly directly into the resistance of their disapproval. It's not about being a contrarian. It's about the discipline of self-trust. It is about trusting yourself so deeply that the applause of the crowd sounds exactly the same as the boos of the crowd. It is just noise. I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. Every single time you feel the desperate urge to compromise your values just to smooth things over, stop. Remember the emperor. Remember your mental fortress. The people who truly matter, the people who actually belong in your life, will never require you to shrink. They will love the unpolished, uncompromising, relentless version of you. The rest, let them hate. Let them whisper. Let them walk away. You are not losing them. You are shedding dead weight. You don't need their permission to be completely and unapologetically free. I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. You have mastered the fear of judgment. You have embraced the incredible, untouchable power of being disliked. You are standing firm in your truth, completely unfazed by the whispers of the crowd. You are a sovereign entity. But even a sovereign king must aggressively guard his castle gates. You have stopped caring what the outside world thinks, but you must also be utterly ruthless about who you allow to step inside your walls.
Chapter 9. Audit your inner circle. Let us talk about the interior of your fortress. You've done the brutal work on the outside. You have built massive, impenetrable walls of stoicism. You have stopped negotiating your boundaries with the public. You have learned how to look at a crowd of people who dislike you and feel absolutely nothing but calm. You are standing strong. But none of that matters if you leave the front door wide open. You cannot build a Stoic fortress if you keep inviting Trojan horses inside. Look closely at your inner circle right now. Look at the people you text every day. Look at the people you get coffee with. Look at the people who have a VIP pass to your mind. Who are they? Your environment dictates your absolute baseline of mental peace. If you are surrounded by chaos, you will be chaotic. If you are surrounded by drama, you will be dramatic. If you are surrounded by victims, you will inevitably become a victim. You must ruthlessly cut out the dead weight pulling you into chaos. Guard your gates. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. I want you to repeat this until it dictates every social interaction you have. Guard your gates. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Many of you are carrying people on your back who refuse to walk on their own 2 feet. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The chronic complainer. The person who has a massive, catastrophic crisis every single Tuesday. The gossiper who only calls you to talk about how terrible everyone else is. The energy vampire who leaves you completely exhausted, drained, and depleted after a simple 30-minute phone call. Why are you letting them in? You think you're being a good friend. You think you're being loyal. You think you can fix them. Stop. You cannot fix them. You are not their savior. You are their emotional dumping ground. Every single time you listen to a friend complain for an hour about a problem they completely refuse to fix, you are bleeding your own precious energy. You have a choice. You can keep carrying their dead weight, or you can drop them on the side of the road and sprint toward your destiny. That's the key. Loyalty to a toxic person is nothing but self-sabotage. It's not about being cruel.
It's about the discipline of self-preservation. If a ship is sinking and someone refuses to grab a life vest, you do not drown with them just to be polite. You save yourself. Guard your gates. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. How do we fix this? Here is your real-world behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must do to take back your perimeter. We're going to execute a brutal, honest audit of your inner circle.
Step 1. Identify the drainers. Take out a piece of paper and write down the names of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now ask yourself one simple, highly effective question. After I interact with this person, do I feel energized or do I feel exhausted? Do I feel inspired or do I feel heavy? If the answer is exhausted, they have failed the audit. They are a Trojan horse. They have to go. Step 2. The cold, clean cut. This is where weak minds fail. The weak mind thinks they need to sit the toxic person down and give them a massive, dramatic speech about why the friendship is over. They want to explain their growth. You already learned in Chapter 7 that explaining yourself is a trap. Do not cause unnecessary drama. Do not write a breakup text. Do not start a fire. Instead, you initiate the fade out. You quietly and permanently distance yourself. You stop initiating contact. You stop sending the first text. When they text you, you do not reply instantly. You wait hours. Sometimes you wait days. When you do reply, you give short, boring, gray rock answers. Busy week, working hard, can't talk. You don't need their permission to be unavailable. You don't need their permission to completely rewrite your schedule. You don't need their permission to protect your time at all costs. Step 3. Hold the line. Energy vampires are relentless. When they feel their food source slipping away, they will panic. They will try to guilt trip you. They will say, "You never have time for me anymore." They will play the victim. You must remain incredibly stoic. You do not argue. You simply state the fact. I am focused on my goals right now, and I do not have free time. Period. No apologies. Guard your gates. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. This process will feel uncomfortable. You will feel a twinge of guilt. Let the guilt wash over you and let it pass. Guilt is just the ghost of your old, weak habits trying to pull you back into the mud. You are stepping into a new reality. In this new reality, your time is your most valuable currency. Treat your energy like $1 million in cash. Would you leave $1 million in a bag on the sidewalk for any passing stranger to grab? Absolutely not. You would lock it in a vault. Your energy is infinitely more valuable than cash. Put it in the vault. It's not about isolating yourself. It's about the discipline of elite curation. When you ruthlessly cut out the dead weight, you create massive open space in your life. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you remove the gossipers and the complainers, you finally have the bandwidth to attract high-level, stoic, disciplined operators into your circle. You will start attracting people who speak about visions, not about other people. You will attract people who hold you accountable, who push you higher, and who respect your boundaries because they have their own. You have a choice. Will you let guilt keep you chained to losers, or will you ruthlessly curate your reality? That's the key. Stop settling for low-tier relationships because you're afraid of being alone. A Stoic is never lonely because they are in excellent company with their own mind. Being alone in your fortress is infinitely better than being surrounded by clowns in a circus. Look at the gates of your mind. Shut them. Lock them. Stand guard. Do not let a single person walk through those doors unless they bring peace, power, or purpose. If they bring chaos, they stay outside in the cold. It is that simple. It is that absolute. Guard your gates. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. You have purged the Trojan horses. You have locked the doors. Your inner circle is now an elite, impenetrable unit. You have audited your environment.
and you have secured the perimeter of your life. Every single piece of the foundation is now perfectly in place. But philosophy is useless if it simply stays in your head. Now it is time to put everything together. It is time to wake up and execute this absolute dominance every single day.
Chapter 10. The Sovereign Mind in Action. Let us talk about the brutal reality of execution. You have listened to the theory. You have built the conceptual walls of your fortress. You know how to enforce your boundaries. You know how to stop seeking validation. You know how to pause, how to starve the manipulator, and how to ruthlessly cut the dead weight from your inner circle. But if you turn off this audio and simply go back to your old, comfortable habits, you have entirely wasted your time. Stoicism is not a book you read. It is not an intellectual exercise. It is not a clever quote you post on the internet to look deep. It is a daily, relentless, aggressive practice of taking back your mind from the external world. You must wake up every single day ready to defend your peace at all costs. The world is constantly coming for your focus. The world is constantly coming for your energy. It wants you weak, reactive, and easily controlled. Stop letting it happen. I am the master of my mind. The world bows to my calm. Say it out loud. Breathe it into your lungs. I am the master of my mind. The world bows to my calm. Let us look at how the weak mind starts the day. The alarm goes off. What is the absolute first thing they do? They reach for their phone. They immediately flood their pristine morning brain with the demands, the opinions, and the manufactured emergencies of other people. They check their work email and feel a spike of anxiety. They check social media and compare their real life to someone else's fake highlight reel. They check the news and absorb the chaos of the globe. Before their feet even touch the bedroom floor, they have handed the remote control of their nervous system to 1,000 complete strangers. Their baseline mood is entirely dictated by a digital slot machine. This is pathetic. This is voluntary slavery. They are completely defeated before the day even begins. You have a choice. You can wake up as a reactive victim to the world's endless chaos, or you can wake up as the undisputed sovereign of your own reality. That's the key. Let us walk through the ideal Stoic morning routine. This is your blueprint for absolute, untouchable dominance. When your alarm goes off, you do not touch your screen. You leave the phone face down in another room. You don't need their permission to own the first hour of your own life. You wake up in total silence. You drink a glass of water. You sit still. You take a deep, slow breath, and you begin the ancient practice of premeditation. You look ahead at the next 16 hours of your life. You do not fantasize about a perfect, easy, conflict-free day. Fantasizing about an easy life is a trap for the fragile mind. Instead, you intentionally anticipate the friction. You visualize the exact moments where the world will try to test your newly built walls. You picture the terrible gridlock traffic on your commute. You picture the demanding, passive-aggressive boss who will ask for the impossible. You picture the ungrateful client who will complain no matter what you do. You picture the toxic family member who might call and try to start drama. And right there, in the quiet of your morning, you pre-decide your reaction to every single one of them. You make a binding, unbreakable contract with yourself. You say, when the traffic stops, I will not get angry. I will use the time to listen to an audiobook and upgrade my skills. You say, when my boss acts out, I will use the gray rock method. I will give them absolutely nothing but a blank stare and a monotone answer. You say, when the toxic relative calls, I will let it go to voicemail. I guard my gates. You pre-fight the battles in your mind.
You have already secured the victory before you have even stepped out your front door. It's not about hoping for an easy life. It's about the discipline of absolute preparation. I am the master of my mind. The world bows to my calm.
When that inevitable friction hits you at 2 p.m., you will not flinch. While everyone else in the office is panicking, while everyone else is sweating, complaining, and reacting, you will simply execute the plan you locked in at 6 a.m. The chaos will bounce right off your armor. You will stand perfectly still in the dead center of the storm. People will look at you in sheer awe. They will wonder how you stay so incredibly grounded. They will wonder what your secret is. Your secret is that you do not leave your emotional peace up to chance. You command it from the moment you open your eyes. Here is your final behavioral instruction. Here is exactly what you must stop doing today. Stop leaving your internal state up to the whims of the universe. Stop walking into your day blind, naked, and defenseless. Stop expecting broken people to magically treat you with respect today just because you want them to. Expect them to be exactly who they are, chaotic and flawed, and prepare your unshakable defenses accordingly. Start writing it down if you have to. Keep a journal by your bed. Put pen to paper and physically script out your emotional immunity. I will not let this specific person ruin my focus today. When you write it down, it becomes absolute law. I am the master of my mind. The world bows to my calm. Every single morning is a hard reset. Yesterday's victories do not protect you today. The fortress walls must be inspected daily. The gates must be locked daily. You must consciously put on the heavy armor every single morning. It takes immense effort. It takes relentless, brutal consistency. But look at the reward. The reward is ultimate, unprecedented freedom. The reward is a life where nobody, no manipulative partner, no screaming boss, no internet troll, and no bitter friend can ever reach inside your chest and manipulate your heart rate again. You become entirely self-contained. You become a fortress of solitude, strength, and massive execution. One day of this practice makes you feel better. A month of this makes you dangerous. A year of this makes you completely unrecognizable to the people who used to walk all over you. You have the tools. You know the exact, devastating cost of seeking validation. You know the immense tactical power of the pause. You know the absolute freedom of being disliked by the weak. You have purged your circle of the parasites. You are entirely ready. You have a choice. Will you retreat into the comfortable, familiar misery of being controlled by everyone else, or will you step into the cold, beautiful, blinding light of ultimate sovereignty? That's the key. The power is no longer out there. The power is completely, entirely in your hands. I am the master of my mind. The world bows to my calm. You have built the ultimate mental fortress. You have mastered the daily discipline to defend your walls. You are finally ready to take on the world on your own uncompromising terms. Now, let us lock this mindset in forever. Let us finish this.
You have reached the end of this audio, but the real test begins the second you take off your headphones. For too long, you have been a passenger in your own life, letting the opinions, manipulations, and chaos of other people steer your wheel. No more. You now know the illusion of their judgment. You know the profound cost of your validation. You know the unmatched power of the pause. Your mind is no longer a public playground. It is a fortress. If they scream, you whisper. If they attack, you observe. If they demand, you deny. From this moment forward, you will not bend. You will not explain. You will not negotiate your peace for their comfort. Here is your challenge. Tomorrow, when someone tries to pull your strings, cut them. Give them nothing but the cold, unshakable calm of a Stoic. Take back your mind, stand strong, and never, ever let them control you again.